And that turned it into a 10-year battle. So it just becomes this vicious cycle of going to court over and over and over again. And it doesn't just affect you and the kids. There's no winning unless you don't go. If you can avoid court, avoid it. Pay attention to your kids. Don't get so stuck in what you're doing that you forget what they see. You asked me how I got through it. You know what? I didn't. He got me through it.
Yeah.
I got carried a lot. People show up.
Mm-hmm.
People show up in bad circumstances, but you got to keep your eyes open.
Welcome back to another episode of Passion from Pain, the show where we don't run from the hard stuff. We face it, name it, and rebuild from it. Because truth be told, healing isn't for the faint of heart. It's for the ones who've already survived the fire and decided they're not staying burned. Today's guest is exactly that kind of warrior. Tami Forster is a motivational speaker, a transformational coach, a licensed life insurance agent, but more than that, she is a living, breathing definition of perseverance. She lost her home twice. She stood through over 100 family court hearings. She's battled a system designed to break her and came out the other side not bitter, but built differently. Tami doesn't just talk about resilience. She teaches it, coaches it, and helps people secure it for life. Her mission is simple but powerful: to help others turn life's hardest battles into blueprints for peace, purpose, and financial protection. Because, as she says, you can't always control the storm, but you can master your response and rebuild stronger than before. In this episode, we're diving into the fight, the faith, and the financial freedom that comes when you stop surviving and start strategizing. We're talking mindset, rebuilding after loss, and how to protect not just your money, but your peace. So if you've ever felt beaten down by systems, life, or circumstances, today's conversation is proof that even in chaos, you can rise, rebuild, and reclaim your power. I'm your host, Amy Pease. And this is Passion from Pain with Tami Forster. Tami, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I'm excited to get the listeners in on this because this is one hell of a story you got here.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much for having me. It is something that was pretty crazy to go through, and it really taught me to I didn't go through it for anything and for nothing. So for that, I want to be able to share that with people and help them to get through it or avoid it if at all possible.
Yeah, no doubt. So what was that storm that you went through? Over 100 court appearances? My Lord, I think one or two would drive me up the wall, but 100? How did you survive that?
Well, sadly, Amy, a lot of people go through quite a few. You'd be surprised, but 100, kind of unique. I thought I was actually the Guinness Book of World Records, but I'm not.
Okay.
That one. But it is a really, really hard thing to go through. And it happened because we decided to go through a sperm donor to have kids. And we didn't do it the conventional way through the doctor's office. And that didn't protect us. And about 2 years after I had my sons, we ended up in the system because he decided that he wanted to fight to have custody.
Oh, my Lord.
And that turned it into a 10-year battle. He pretty much filed every month. Every month if he didn't get the answer he wanted, he was back in there again, and the worst part about it is the attorneys perpetuate that.
Yeah.
They're making money.
Oh yeah. They're making all the money off this guy and off of you as well. Yeah. They don't care.
Well, I mean, I don't think people realize, a filing fee alone is, at least where I was in Orange County, California, was $450 each time.
God.
You do that by 100.
Yeah.
I was pretty broke, so I didn't have the money to do it. So for those that don't have the money, it's kind of a benefit in a sense because you get a fee waiver, or you can try to qualify for one. You don't always get it, so there's still an expense, and you still need an attorney to represent you because it's very hard to do that on your own. There were times I didn't have an attorney, quite a few actually. So you go through this system having to learn to be pretty resilient, and non-emotional when it comes to your own kids. That's tough.
Yeah, no doubt.
They don't like it. They don't like you speaking out. They don't like you being emotional or getting angry. You just have to speak your case, and I hate seeing people go through that. I know what it felt like,
Wow.
and people don't have the tools. They just don't have the tools to navigate that. The system isn't set up to help them. I remember going to, self-help.
Sure.
There's not a lot there. It might help you a little bit with some paperwork, but they can't give you any legal advice.
Right.
So they might help you here, sign here, do something like that. But outside of that, they're really not going to give you any kind of answers. So then they'll send you over to legal counsel. Well, you have to qualify for that too.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of times there's just no information. And there's a lot of misinformation that gets taken because they put everybody into a little cookie cutter box. Everybody's the same. It's all about divorce. Well, we were never married.
Oh, wow.
So ironically, that becomes really difficult. I remember one time we were court ordered to co-parenting classes separately. I'm not sure how that's supposed to work. I'm not sure how we're supposed to co-parent like that.
Yeah.
So we went into separate classes, but they also court ordered our sons to go to counseling. And we weren't supposed to talk to them. Come to find out, they were talking to my kids about divorce, which very much confused them. So we had to kind of back that out of there too. So it becomes a really difficult system because it just keeps going. It's just one hit after another, and I watch these attorneys and you watch them continue filing and just filing and filing and filing, a lot of people think they're going to win. There's no winning unless you don't go. That's the ideal. However,
what they're hoping for.
It doesn't happen very often. There was a book that my sister bought me years ago. It's called Splitting. When I was going through this, it actually talks about the dynamic of the people in the system. And the problem is a lot of times you either have one or both people that have this controlling mindset. So they want to win. It's all about winning. It doesn't become about the kids. It doesn't become about anything other than they want to win their case. And the attorneys perpetuate that because they want the money.
Yeah.
So it just becomes this vicious cycle of going to court over and over and over again. And it doesn't just affect you and the kids.
No.
In the system, it affects your job. It affects both all of you emotionally. It affects all of you financially. It's why I was driven to become go into the financial aspect of it too, because I think it's important for people to build their financial house. I didn't have that. I didn't have any of that. I was the trusting person that went, that'll never happen to me.
Yep. And I think so many women find themselves in that position too. A lot of my listeners actually are women who have escaped abusive or narcissistic marriages, relationships, and are in the middle of, fighting for their children. They're in the middle of that custody battle. They're in the middle of that co-parenting, trying to figure out how to co-parent with, a manipulative, narcissistic asshole, and so it's tough. It's tough to figure out how to do that, especially when they bring you to that point of where they're just about to, they're wanting to break you, really, and that's what they really want to do, and they want to do it publicly, and they want it on court record.
Yeah, and I think the hardest part was that, well, there were many hard parts, but to go through all of that really could break you down. Ours was such a unique situation with 3 parents, not 2, 3. I can't count today. 3, 2, 1. Anyway, yes, it was 3 of us. So back when we started all of this, there was my wife, there was their dad, who was a sperm donor, and myself.
Wow.
And the problem was the laws were changing.
Yeah.
So there was no 3-parent law when we started. There was a 3-parent law when we started to get into this situation that was literally changing the course of our case. I wasn't just, we started out with the custody battle with their dad. And then my wife and I got divorced. And so now I was in a legal battle with her as well. So I was actually in a custody battle with him, a legal custody and divorce battle with her. And I had lost my home to bed bugs at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty crazy. So, the resilience and it comes down to your kids, and I know a lot of women would say the same thing, when man, it's all about your kids at that point,
Yeah.
you don't want to lose them. You don't want to go through that kind of loss. We
Yeah.
all think about losing our loved ones. The loss of a child is a horrible thought,
Mm-hmm.
and it happened to me. We
Mm-hmm.
went through all of that, and I still ended up losing them. I lost him for 8 months through all of
No.
that because I did end up in a situation with someone who was domestically abusive that I thought was trying to help me. Just go down this rabbit hole. And I think when you look at the system, you see it a lot because everybody's looking at these legal entities
Mm-hmm.
to give them the right direction.
Yeah.
And the
Oh, yeah.
they're kind of insensitive. There's some good attorneys out there. There's some good representation out there, but so much of it has become monetary.
Mm-hmm. Just like everything, unfortunately. When you need help, it's all about the money, unfortunately.
Yeah. And you see it not just in family court. You see it in family court. You see it in criminal court. You see it in civil court. You see it in, I've been in a civil case, with my bed bug case. It was a civil case. Took 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
And I won, if you call it that. I lost $10,000 worth of stuff and I got $5,000 back.
Oh my goodness.
And all of the headache of the 3 years to take it to that point. And I still lost everything. So I've been through so many different avenues of it. And I think, man, there's got to be a way to, if not keep people from going, and that's really the ideal, to help them have a foundation to support them to do so emotionally, financially, physically. It's wearing, to not lose your job. I lost my job because of it. You go to court, go to court, go to court. They don't want to keep somebody that can't show up.
Yeah. Yeah. They got a business to run, and that's, yeah, I get it. I get it. Having been a business owner, you want to sympathize with what your employees are going through, but on the other end, you've got things that need done and a business that needs to be run.
Yep. Yep. And I understand it, but it's such a horrible position to be in as the person that's being let go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I literally, had to fight these different avenues. So it wasn't just one case, it was 3.
Yeah. And now you've got to figure out how to continue to fight this without the resources of
money.
a job.
Right.
And so what did you do? How did you manage to keep going?
I got to tell you, I remember just trying to control so much of that. I had a decent job for a period of time, but like I said, got let go. And it just kept domino affecting. I had to move out of the house that I was in, moved into an apartment, and things were pretty good for about 1.5 years. We were still fighting, but I had a good place to live. Then the bed bugs, then we lost that. So we just kept domino affecting, ended up moving out of the area, not too far that the dad could still have visitation and the things that he needed to have. But it was rough. I had to just really focus on changing my mindset. I was so angry. It's easy to be angry.
Sure.
I found myself, that's all I talked about. That was it. I remember people saying, oh, here she comes. They don't want to talk to me. She talk about that thing again. I don't want to hear it. It's so stressful, and I'm just giving them this little bit and they're like, oh no, I can't do it. And I started to realize, this isn't doing anybody any favors.
Yeah.
It's not helping me. It's not helping my kids. It's not helping anybody around me, and nobody wants to hear it. I remember somebody did a test. People say, how are you? Well, do they really want to know? How are you?
More often, no. More often, no.
This guy did this whole test thing, right? And come to find out, they don't really want to know, right?
Yeah,
they don't want to hear the bad stuff. Yeah. They're being cordial. That's about it. So it was very interesting. It really was all about God for me. I just remember I finally broke down and just said, I can't do it anymore. You do it. And I had a peace. It wasn't easy. It definitely wasn't easy. There were a lot of steps I had to take, but I had the peace to be able to take the steps.
Okay.
And I'll tell people, there's a peace that I had during that. It was the most peaceful time in my life. That sounds crazy. It was the worst time in my life. You know, to a lot of people, that just sounds ludicrous. But peace is not that. Peace is peace. Being able to not flip out, not be able to not manage the things that you have to manage, because there were a lot. I had to figure out how to get to these places. I now lived 72 miles away from the courthouse that I had to, you know, all the time. So, and then there were two in one courthouse, and there was another over in another courthouse over in a different part of the county. There was a lot, you know, but I'm going to say for some crazy reason, but it wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
I did all of it, and I didn't miss anything. And I come from a family where we were always late. I wasn't late to anything. That's the grace of God to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 He was helping you through every moment of it, no doubt. After you gave in and said, I can't do this. And yeah, he stepped in and he made sure that you could.
Yep, exactly. So it's amazing to me right now, because I would see the line.
Yeah.
And you think, you're all standing in line to do what? To win. Well, what are you winning?
Right.
You're all losing. You walk in there. I lost every time I walked in there. Even if I won, I lost.
The only one that won was the system.
Yeah,
Collecting all the money from everybody. Everybody's lives are getting destroyed, and they are making money doing it.
Well, and I feel like there needs to be a movement to shift the system to not take advantage of people, you know.
Yeah.
And there in a lot of different avenues, right? I mean, we see it, like you said earlier, everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and I think people are waking up. I hope they're waking up, you know, and there are tools to be able to navigate that. And I've learned a lot of things through it that I can help people avoid.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's what you're doing now, is speaking out and providing resources and tools on your website and legal system warrior checklist. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you've kind of created from the rubble.
I took there were so many things I didn't know, right? I was very ignorant when it came to the court system. You know, I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know where to go. You know, when we first started out, I was put in a thing called default. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't even know what the term meant. I had to go to the court, you know, only to find out that default meant that I didn't have any say when it came to my own sons.
Oh.
That was terrifying.
Yeah.
You have to get out of it. And that takes hiring somebody, as an attorney, typically. So I had to dig my way back out of that, because I didn't do what I didn't know to do. You know, it put me in a very bad position. So I would, you know, I certainly don't want anybody to be in that position, to understand where you can go for forms, what you can do as far as who you can go to. Obviously, I can't get legal advice. I'm not an attorney.
Sure.
But I can certainly navigate someone to how they can find out on a website, what website to go, what county are they in, things like that. But mainly how to navigate the emotional aspect of it too, and how to be in a courtroom, you know, and be prepared. So the checklist talks a lot about all of those things in a very systematic way to help you be more prepared for what you're going through. Because it's not an easy road. It isn't, and it's not going to be short.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I had better news, but it is not. You know, I have another friend of mine, 18 years. She was in family court.
Oh, my Lord.
That's more than me.
My Lord. It's so scary to think that it could go on for that long. And you kind of wonder, I mean, at that point, I mean, what is the point for being in court so long? They can't get it figured out sooner than that. But I mean, I guess it all comes back to the money piece, you know, and in the end, nobody really wins except for the system.
If you can keep them in the system for the entire time, and you know, I'm sure the system wouldn't like me saying that. You know, anybody in the system doesn't want to hear that. But the fact is, it's not. There's better ways. There needs to be a better way for the system. But Can we fix it? We can't fix the system, but we can fix ourselves. We can
Yep.
certainly learn, and I know ways that you can navigate the system to keep it more peaceful for you,
Mhm.
more financially stable for you.
Mhm.
You know, I'm life licensed in California as a life insurance agent. I'm pretty soon to be securities licensed, and that way you can. But as a rep, I can actually help people with securities. So
Mhm.
we have other people that I can direct them to, which will
Okay.
help them invest money so that
Yeah.
it actually makes money for them in the interim. And I think that's very important too, because I didn't have that. I just didn't know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah.
think that's a scary thing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You don't know what you don't know. And then to be faced with what you don't know, and all of a sudden you're being held accountable for what you don't know. I mean, that's one of my one of my biggest fears. I mean, really, it is,
And they don't,
getting that
you don't
scary letter.
you
Like,
don't
oh,
get you don't get a lot of time in the courtroom. You
no.
spend hours fretting over trying to put this stuff together because it's extremely technical. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter the system. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
They make it difficult. It's not simple. It's not user friendly.
Mm-mm.
So you're trying to navigate that, and you're trying to navigate your emotions because it's your kids or a divorce or,
Mhm.
a civil suit or criminal or whatever you're going through, right? To where it's hard enough if you weren't stressing out.
Sure.
It's 100 times that when you are stressing out because
Yeah.
now you can't focus. So there's
Hmm.
tools and there's ways to be able to manage that and cope a whole lot better that I wish I had. So that's what I
Well,
want to do
and
is to give.
heaven forbid you have any kind of mindset issues on top of it. I mean, trying to find the strength to fight, and then you're dealing with yourself on top of it.
Yep,
You have any kind of, depression disorder or anxiety disorder or anything really that you deal with. I mean, that's going to just be exacerbated. And that's a whole other wheelhouse you're going to get thrown into the mental health system while you're dealing with the legal system. I mean, it just kind of snowballs from there, it sounds like.
it does. And I mean there's lots of things, we were in front of social workers, we were in front of psychologists, we were in front of
Yeah.
all of those people too, and so were my kids. And I think what was disconcerting to me in all of this, they were trying to direct it at the parenting not being where it should be. But
Wow.
you were taking this in a direction that caused it to be difficult for the kids.
Sure.
They're seeing the difficulty. They're seeing people arguing, the dissension, and the all of that is such a traumatizing situation for your kids. It
Yeah.
will forever. I'm so proud of my kids, because it has just been hard for them. You
Yeah.
know, my daughter didn't talk to me for 3 years when
Oh,
she was much younger because it was manipulated. But
sure.
now she's wonderful, and I love her, and I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of my sons, and they're just to have. I think it gave them a lot of resilience.
Hmm.
I mean, I hate to say that,
Yeah.
only because I wish it never happened to them,
Hmm.
but because of it, I think they're much stronger than I probably was.
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah.
learn to be strong. I think they gives them a little bit better grounding going into a tough world. It's a tough
Oh,
world,
yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
So it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch them grow up. My twins are 20. My daughter's 23, and they're all over the place. I have my one son still lives with me. My other one moved to Klamath Falls, Oregon, and my daughter's in Southern California. So they're kind of all over the place. So,
Yeah.
it gives me the ability to say, okay, this is the time for me to take back what happened to me and be able to give back to other people.
I love it. I love it. How long ago was this, if you don't mind me asking?
Between, it would have started in 2007 and
Wow.
ended in 2017 when we moved
Wow.
here, when we moved away.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 years. And it was so for them, it was mostly their whole childhood,
Yeah.
and And it didn't help anything because, I spent a lot of time trying to tell their dad, just be their dad, lots of bad mouthing and just debilitating stuff that was directed at them. And I think people lose sight of what they're doing to their kids and how it affects their kids. They're so busy being at each other for whatever their disagreements are, whether it be a divorce or financial or even in civil or whatever it is. It's not even just about, like I said, it's not really just about divorce. There's people like me that there was no marriage. There was no, it could be brother, sister, it could be whatever, everybody's California. I'm in California. It's a sue happy country. I mean,
oh, sure. Yeah.
Feels like a country, but it's such a everything. I'm going to sue you, for any little petty thing. And there's no real rules in the system. Anybody can file anything. They'll take your money. Their dad would file the same thing over and over. He'd lose and he'd go right back up and he'd file for it again.
Where did he get the money to continue to file against you? My goodness.
He had a lot of money.
Wow.
I didn't.
That just baffles me. I mean, you're continuing to lose. I get filing, a few times, trying, but to continually file every month for 10 years.
He was hoping to break me. I really think he intended to break me, and it almost did. Did. But I had a very good, I have very good parents. My dad passed away 5.5 years ago, and my parents were very good to me. I was blessed to have a very strong childhood, so, but it didn't give me the tools that I needed. I went into the world thinking everybody was nice.
Yeah.
Only to be kind of pretty shocked. I was very shocked, at the behavior of people. And I think people need to come together again and stop being so self-absorbed, especially if you have kids,
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah. And it's too much. I see it so much. In fact, it's a whole nother part of my story. Since I moved away and we moved to Northern California, I ended up being kind of the house mom for a bunch of my son's kids who also had broken homes, lots of broken homes. My mom said, you should have a sign over your door. It says wayward home for boys. They'll call me mom, and it was fine, they'd get in my fridge and, eat me out of house and home, but I loved them and they know I love them and I love them today. They're all grown mostly now and, moving and growing and becoming mature young men. And I'm proud of them too. And, I've seen so much brokenness. That's the thing. Our divorce rate has changed drastically.
Yeah.
My mom era, 25%. We're at 60%.
Well, and it's such a casual thing anymore, divorce, and I was watching a movie. I can't remember which one it was a few years ago, but one of the lines in it I distinctly remember because it just hit me like, wow, I can't believe that was just put out there like it was. But the line was, this one gal was getting married, and the bridesmaids and whatnot, getting ready and asking her, oh, are you excited for your new husband, whatever. She's like, oh yeah, he's gonna make the perfect first husband. And I'm like, oh, holy cow, this is the kind of attitude that people are having about marriage. Oh yeah, he's going to be the perfect first husband. So like she's already
decided that there's
to be divorced, right? And so, but I think that really is in line with where society is with marriage.
Commitment doesn't mean the same thing anymore.
It doesn't.
You look at my mom and dad. My mom and dad were married just shy of 60 years when my dad passed away.
Yeah.
My grandmother and my grandfather, he passed away fairly early, but again, they were married over 40 years. My aunt and my uncle just passed away. They were married just shy, and she got married late, early 40s. They were married over 45 years. Wow. So you do see a pattern of the older generation having stuck together because it really meant till death do us part.
Oh,
today it's I do, as long as it works out.
Until.
Yeah.
do
Until I don't like you anymore.
until something happens, until I get a weird feeling, until someone else turns my head,
Yep.
until you get
It's
fat,
too
yeah,
casual, like you said, it's too casual. Too
it's way
casual,
too
there's no
much.
commitment.
Yeah,
People
yeah,
don't have the same, and that spills over. It's not just in
yeah.
relationships, people are
Oh yeah,
the statistics have changed in jobs. People used to stay in jobs 4 years, that was normal.
oh yeah.
Now the average is 4.5 years.
Hmm. And that's long.
Yeah, right?
That seems
I
so long.
have burnout with this job. I've been here 2 years. I got to find something else.
Yeah,
It's true. It's very true.
yeah,
And so we see the mindset, we go back to that word, right?
yeah.
Of I don't have to be committed. I don't have to make a promise and stick to it. I don't
Hmm.
have to do anything I don't want to do. And that's why I said it's such a self-absorbed world we live in
Oh, it is.
that we've got to come back to it isn't about us. If we learned to my brother-in-law and my sister and my oldest and my youngest been in marriages a long time, and
Mhm.
they really are very good about focusing on their partner.
Yeah.
And what happens is if you focus on your partner, well, your partner focuses on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's reciprocal. And I think, well, I'll be with you as long as you do what I want you to do, or you give me what I want, right?
Right.
What you would find if you did it the other way is if you were good to the other person and you were just always there for them, they would be for you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I learned in, the relationship that I'm in now. We've been together, my husband and I have been together for 18 years. Before that, every other relationship I had lasted about a year, but he's the one who really taught me that, the relationship is more about how you treat the other person. And
Mm.
so, we've stuck with that for 18 years. He treats me really well and I treat him really well. And, we've been together for a very long time now because of that. We both came from our traumatic backgrounds and experiences. Yeah, we both had our issues, but it all broke down to the fact that we took very good care of each other. We saw each other for who we were. We met each other where we were broken, and we didn't try to change the other, but we were still always there for them, even when they wanted to change. Even when he wanted to change, I was still there for him, and when I wanted to change, he was there for me.
And that's the important part about it, because we come from different backgrounds, right? I know
Oh
you
yeah.
and I talked about it, you brought up that you were adopted,
Yep.
and that makes for a wall to begin
Hmm.
with people. You walk into, I'm not sure if I want to be in a relationship.
Hmm.
I didn't have that, but I know that I've seen many kids with that, that's parents have, decided that their stuff's more important than their kids,
Oh yeah.
and it does create that mindset of, I don't know that I want to give all of that to somebody and be that vulnerable, right?
Hmm.
So that makes relationships very hard. I didn't used to be that way, but after all of the things I've been through, I get that. I got it on the back end, okay, shoot. Now I've been beat up like crazy. I'm 57 years old now going, I don't know if I want to be in a relationship. I'm fine all by myself. I just start singing over here on my corner all by myself, right?
Right. And to what you were saying though, having been adopted, I always did find it very difficult to connect with people on any kind of deeper level. I could always have surface level conversations, always be really good acquaintances, but to have a best friend, never really had one. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to provide that to other people. There was always some sort of awkwardness, that would keep me from, going that next level with any kind of friendship,
But you and I were super
but
reversed because
yeah,
I was too trusting.
yeah.
Coming from
And
my
so, yeah,
background, I was too
I was
trusting.
always reserved.
Mhm. Very interesting. So now you've come full circle the other way, and then I'm over here going, I don't know. I don't know. But I do know, you know, if I were to have someone in my life that literally is reciprocal, that's what it's about. You know, it really is about give and take. You
Yeah.
know, that's what a marriage is, that's what a relationship, that's what a friendship is. Those are real connections, you know, and I think getting back to being connectors instead of being so disconnected
Yeah.
in this world that we live in is tough right now. It's really tough right now. You know, we have these systems in place that disconnect us
Mhm.
for
Oh,
for
yeah.
whatever, you know.
Oh,
It's very monetary, you know, and it will destroy you if you let
yeah.
it. You know,
Yeah.
you asked me how I got through it. You know what? I didn't.
Mm.
He got me through it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I got carried a lot. You know,
Mhm.
I might have had to move my feet, but I got carried
Yeah.
because
And
there's no way
that's hey.
I could tell you stories. We don't have that much time. I could talk about days, that were just the most amazing, you know,
Mhm.
and it's something that I'm working on a book that I'll help put in my book and share those stories. They're actually very uplifting in a really bad situation to go, wow, that really is people
Yeah.
show up.
Mhm.
People show up in bad circumstances, but you got to keep your eyes open.
Oh, yeah, you do. And you've gotta be willing to receive it as well. And
And I think that's
that's hard.
where I'm at as the legal system warrior. I really want to be there for these
Yeah.
people and say, hey, you know, you don't have to go through this
Yeah.
angry. You don't have to go through this
Mhm.
depressed. You don't have to go through this disappointed. I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. If anybody gets it, I get it.
Yeah.
It is a very, very hard thing to go through, but there are ways and there are skills to take in with you and be
Mhm.
prepared to do that. You know, my free offer for the checklist, that's what it's all about.
Mhm.
You know, it's just a nice, simple, grounding way to say, okay, here's a nice, simple gift that you can use in your day to day in the circumstances you're in. If you want something more, you know, I have no problem offering a free 30-minute session, you know, to start out and see if there's a connection there where I could help that person. You know, I work with Forbes Riley. She does not like help. So educate that person.
There you
Empower.
go.
I like the
Because
word empower. Empower that person.
well, and you gotta think about it, if you're going through a legal battle, right? Especially if it's involving children, or an
Money.
ex, a relationship, you're dealing with something that is very logical, but you're dealing with it in an emotional state of mind.
Yep.
And that is
That
where you're gonna fail right off the get-go, right there, by
you
dealing
can't
with it in with the emotional mind, because your
I
emotional
walked in
mind
like
cannot
that.
think logically.
I walked in like that plenty of times, and I will tell you, it didn't get me anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, it did, not where I wanted it to,
Sure.
you
Sure.
know?
And I just recorded an episode, a deep dive on this very topic, the emotional brain versus the logical brain. And you can't. That's where you're going to make all the terrible decisions, and ultimately you're going to end up losing or staying stuck in the wheelhouse because you continue to trip and make the mistakes and whatnot. And so, the logical decision is to say, okay, you know what? I am in this state of mind. I cannot get myself in a logical state of mind. The best thing I can do is reach out for help with somebody who can think logically for me, since I
It
can't.
it helps to have those connections, you know? I'm working on some other things where, with my friend that I was speaking to you about that went through it with 18 years,
Yeah.
we're working on some other things to actually bring more of a workshop kind of setting together too, because that helps. I mean, to being with other like-minded people that have been through the same thing is is very healthy to be able
Mm-hmm.
to talk with each other and know you're not alone. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people going through similar things. May not be the same thing I went through,
Yep.
you know? I don't think there's too many people that were, you know, paying child support and getting child support at the same time. Highly unlikely. But, you
That's
know.
an odd one. Yeah.
So, you know, but we got through it, you know? I mean,
Sure.
now you get on the other side and you go, "It was really bad, but, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't go through it for nothing. I really don't I don't believe that I went through that just because I made a bunch of bad decisions. I did make bad decisions 100%, and I got manipulated. And there were people there that just had their own selfish motives
Oh,
and
yeah.
didn't take into account my kids. But at the same time, you know, it made me grow. I mean, it's either going to make or break you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, and it breaks a lot of people. It breaks a lot of people, and that breaks my
Oh,
heart. I don't want to, if I could keep somebody from that happening to them,
Yeah.
to completely destroying them, and just to be able to get through it and have that time with their kids and work something out. That's a win.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And
And
it's just so sad that people pull kids into this. Kids should just be left alone. But God,
their dad could not. I don't know if there was one visit that he didn't say something bad about me.
wow.
And I would, we had to communicate on email. That's what we were court ordered to. And
Yeah.
even then, just bashing. I mean, really abusive kind of verbiage, and
Yeah.
it just got ignored. We would present it to the system. It got ignored.
That should be criminal.
It should be. I mean, I even tried to get a restraining order. I had reams of this court-ordered website that I was forced to be on that nobody monitored. Went to
Yeah.
the police station asking if I could get a restraining order, went to the court asking for a restraining order just to get him to have some sort of control over what he said.
Mhm.
And they wouldn't give it to me.
Well, then what was the point? Goodness.
Ultimately, when you look at it, what did you do? Did you win?
Right.
They haven't talked to their dad since they were 15. They're
Yeah.
20.
Holy cow. Yeah.
They don't talk to him. They
No
want nothing
win.
to do with him, and I would try so hard. Just be their dad.
Hmm.
That's what they need you to be. They need you to be their dad.
Yeah.
Whatever this is, I don't care if you go talk to whomever you want to talk to. We don't run in the same circles, but don't say it to them.
Yeah.
And it couldn't get it. He just couldn't get it. He's
Yeah.
so hell-bent on being right. But there is no right. What's right is not hurting your kids.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. They can't get that figured out.
No. Well, there's so many. The system perpetuates it.
Oh,
The
I'm sure.
attorneys perpetuate it.
Oh, I'm
They'll
sure.
tell you you're going to win. You're not going to win.
Yeah.
The second you pay that first filing fee, you're probably not winning.
Oh, wow.
And I was on the defense. I'd never gone. I was always the defendant in everything I was in because I don't
Wow.
want to go to court, right? But to be put on that foot, now you're on the defense all the time.
Yeah.
That's a horrible place to be. You're constantly defending yourself. It is physically debilitating. Ulcers, whatever you can get. So to find ways to avoid that is super important because it can really make you sick physically.
No, absolutely.
I mean, you're breaking down all the time. I found myself not being able to do my job, not being able to take care of my kids the way that I wanted to, and the second that things would start to get better, we're right back to the same thing. Why? What was the point of that? Control. But that's the problem. The system allows that kind of behavior in any venue, to just happen. And I would love to see people start to step away from being sheep in the court system.
Yeah.
Well,
they've all been kind of led to believe that the court system can fix their problems for them.
It's false.
The relationship problems. Like,
right.
The government is going to fix your relationship problems.
They can't fix your taxes.
The government's going to stick it to your ex for you. I mean, come on.
Right. When you stand there and you stand in line, and I always laugh because, in the court building that I went to, in the center, it had a big name, right in the middle of justice. And I always thought they need to take that out. This is not justice. There's no justice here.
No.
You're damaging families forever. And you're getting paid, and you're getting paid to do it. I mean, I always thought probably the worst job the best best paid job to be wrong at all the time is being a weatherman, but having it, but there's always the justice system.
Yeah.
You're and I'm not saying there are plenty of good attorneys out there that really
Sure.
try to do a good job, but the system's not built for that.
Yeah.
It's
No,
really
it's
gotten broken. They don't have enough time or money, as sad as that is,
yeah.
to do it. First question ever got asked every time to the attorney, how much time do you need? It was always the same robotic answer, 15 minutes. And every time I'm like, you're going to fix my life in 15 minutes.
Wow.
When I didn't do it and still haven't been able to do it. Sure. Just robotic. They were just filing things but there's no emotion.
Yeah.
They don't take in that. They don't feel that. They don't live that.
Right.
And there's times I had to represent myself. I represented myself one time with a broken leg.
Yeah.
I had to represent myself with a flu.
Yeah.
You don't get to avoid it.
No.
It's not like calling out from work. That'd be nice, but they don't care.
No, they
If
don't.
you can understand that walking into that, if you walk into it and you're the defendant, that's just the way it is. But if you're somebody who's a plaintiff trying to file something, you need to rethink that and really think about whether that's something you should do.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is setting this ball in motion that you may not want. Because it can last a decade or more.
Oh, absolutely. And then, God, are you going to be able to withstand it? I mean, and then in the end, is the payoff going to be worth it by the time it's all said and done?
Is your job going to handle it? Are your kids going to handle it? Is your relationship going to handle it?
Are
Is
you?
your family going to? Yeah, there's so many factors. It's outrageous. So let my blueprint be your breakthrough. Let it be that. I would rather see, people. It's like teaching our kids. We don't want them to make the same mistakes we did, right? So we're trying to guide them that way. Some people are going to listen, some aren't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Some just have to go through it. That's just the way it is. And I hate to see that, but that's true. Some people are too stubborn to try something different.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And so your coaching and your checklist, is that for plaintiff and defendant, or just
use for either? Absolutely.
Okay.
Male, female, doesn't matter. It's just a simple checklist. It can apply to anyone, really. In any case, not just family court. It can apply in any court. So it makes it pretty simple. It's across the board. It's nice.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's free. I don't want anything for that. I want people to be able to walk in prepared. I want them to have some peace of mind. And it's a hard avenue. When I went into financial services, I never thought that I would find myself here, but I remember back years ago thinking, God, I really want to advocate for people to keep them from being in the position that I was in.
Yeah.
It's devastating. It just destroys people. I don't think anybody wants to see it. Well, I can't say nobody wants to see that. I think the people that are filing hope to see that, and that's kind of the bad part of it is the anger takes over and the pride and ego and all of those things get so put above the relationship, the children, the finances, that what you don't see, it's going to domino effect for your life.
Yep.
In the financial aspect of it, there's so many things you can do, and the nice thing about the job that I'm in for that is that it focuses on middle America. You don't have to have a lot of money to invest. You don't have to have a lot of money to do what you need to do to protect your financial house either. So all of that is directed at that's middle-class people.
Yeah. And so in that, you're working to help protect them with life insurance or annuities or
any of that. I work in a company that's been around a long time. We actually do so many things, and we have one form that we do that takes 5 minutes or less. It's all on the phone over Zoom. And it just quickly shows you ways that you can save money and ways you can build wealth. And you can use them or you cannot use them. So, just a simple meeting with me to go through that and see if it's something that you want to try to utilize to help protect yourself,
Mm.
and I've certainly done that, having gone through what I've gone through, I have protections in place for my kids.
Yeah.
Even though
Oh, yeah.
they're grown now.
Yeah.
But I know they're okay if something happened to me.
Oh, sure. And I was at about 3 years ago. I was going through to get my life insurance license. I was going to sell life insurance and annuities and all that. I was going down that path. But my husband ended up calling me up and he needed my help at his body shop. So I kind of had to set that all aside for a little bit. But in that, I had bought a whole life policy for him. And I had put on the critical illness rider. And I'd forgotten that I had done that. But thank God that I did, because last year he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And because I had that critical illness rider on there, we were able to withdraw 80% of his death benefit.
Yep.
Because he couldn't work. And so that's the kind of protections that, are so important, because you just never know.
My nephew,
That's going to
my nephew's mom, my age, and this is 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So 49 years old. You don't expect somebody to pass away at 49 years old.
Right.
And he didn't have the protection to do what he needed to do for the fact that she passed away. Yeah. But what he didn't know is that when he was 2, she bought a policy.
Oh, my Lord.
He got called and had money in the bank 3 days later.
Wow.
So, the company that I'm with certainly protected them, and it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing this statistically, not a lot of people have coverage at all, and they'll just put it off. I'll do it later.
Sure. They think they can't afford it, but oddly enough, it's extremely affordable. It's actually cheaper than our auto insurance.
You protect your car, you protect your cell phone, but you don't protect the most important thing that's valuable to your family, and that's you.
Yep.
And it's hard. People don't want to talk about it. It's taboo a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about death. That's death. I don't want to talk about death, right? It's life insurance. My dad used to call it death insurance. He's right.
Yeah.
That's what it's there for. It's life insurance is to protect the income of your family if something were to happen to you.
Yep.
And I mean, more people really need to look into it. It's not expensive.
No, it's really not.
I mean, we do so many other things. We'll go buy what is it now? $10 Starbucks. Right.
Yes.
$20 McDonald's meal. We'll do that.
Yeah.
It's all priorities, and it's tough. And I think we can't afford it because it just seems a little more daunting. But I'm very much about, protecting people's peace and protecting their family integrity, and definitely about keeping if you can stay out of that system, stay out of that system. If you can't, help me navigate you through it. I can certainly help you, give you some tools to do so.
Yeah. I love it. I do. I love that, through all of the bullshit, you've come out deciding that, what, that was screwed up and nobody should have to go through that. And I'm going to be the one to help people through that. Most people would be like, oh, thank God that's over. And they'll go on about living their lives. Most people won't step up to the plate for other people.
I've always kind of been, I'm the middle child of 5. I think that makes you, you're that peacekeeper, fixer kind of person. But I've also learned, I probably wouldn't have done it before. I certainly going through that and growing through that, really wanting to, and seeing the brokenness, there's different ways to go about it. And I don't like seeing people hurting. That's just always been me. That's why I had the wayward home for boys. My mom said I should have, right? Letting all these kids come in here. Why? I could have said, nah, I don't need more kids, right? But I do that because that's just the heart I have. My parents taught me that. I'm blessed that I had them. Not everybody has that. And that is something that I got from my dad and my mom. And thankfully, my mom is still alive, 84 years old, 85 in January. And keep going. We love having her, but to to being a big family, huge family, 7 of us total.
Yeah.
Growing up in that middle era, was different. It was different back then. It was very connected. It was very, I see the kids today and they're like, hey, you want to come over and we'll play games on our phones together? Right?
Right next to each other.
I remember this was when they were little. My daughter was, I think she was 8, 7. She had to be 8. No, she might have been 7. Anyway, 8 or 7, something like that. So the boys would have been like 3 or 4. And her friend comes to the door. That's a little 7 or 8-year-old. I brought 6 electronics for us. And I'm thinking, 6? I can't even count. What's 6? So she comes in, and my daughter's got a bunk bed. So they're sitting on the bottom of the bunk bed. My twins are sitting on the top of it. They're all on whatever electronic they're on. And they're not talking to each other. I'm thinking, this is not how we grew up.
No.
We went outside, and when you called us, and we're like, right?
Well,
now they're like,
when you're outside, you had chores to do.
We gotta go outside. That today it's like, no, I don't want to go outside. So it's very, very different eras, very different things. It's been interesting to watch and interesting to see these kids grow. And, if I can help even one person avoid the hardship and the heartache of that, it's worth it to me. It's very much worth it to me.
So for someone who's kind of listening in the thick of their storm right now, what's your word of advice for them?
If you can avoid court, avoid it. If you're the plaintiff, don't do it. If you're the defendant, learn to navigate through it and call me.
Yeah, there we go. And what do you think is the legacy that you want to leave behind, not just as a coach, but as a woman and a mother?
I think as a coach and a mother, I would really like mothers in particular and fathers to realize it isn't worth the heartache to your kids. Pay attention to your kids. Don't get so stuck in the fight or for sister or brother, whatever the relationship is, whatever the court system it is, doesn't matter. Don't get so stuck in what you're doing that you forget what they see.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's so true.
It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
I can't change that my kids saw me get beat up. I can't.
Yeah.
They'll always remember that.
Yeah.
That hurts my heart, but I can't change it. It was a bad decision on my part.
Mm-hmm.
We all make bad decisions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But it sounds like, it made them strong humans.
They're very interesting. I mean, I had the joy of having both of them this weekend. It was my birthday, and so that was fun.
Happy birthday.
I took them to Phoenix, and we spent the weekend at a business networking entrepreneurial event where they met Forbes Riley. So that was fun, and her daughter. So we got to do that. And so it's kind of funny. My one son, he's like, I don't like crowds, but he did it for me. So it was good. So we ended up having a good time, and they met some really good people. And, it's just been really building us up. And I'm building this to teach them and to help others. You don't have to be mediocre.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to be, we could stay stuck in that. And I've done it. I'm sure I still have days that I do it, there's those phrases you grew up with. I remember my mom even saying one of them, money doesn't grow on trees.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but that's a negative connotation, right?
Yep.
No, but you can certainly make money. You can make your life better, but you have to choose to.
Oh, yeah.
I'm choosing to, and I'm choosing to help others do the same thing. Because I don't like the mindset that I'm seeing in today. There's a lot of poverty mindset going on. The woe is me. I call it the Eeyore syndrome.
Yeah.
How the weather's gonna be bad today.
Right.
It's supposed to rain. Rain is good. Rain is supposed to be good for the economy. We got to have all of it. It takes everything. You just go through it. I think there's some things in my book coming up that I'm writing that I think are going to be really good for people, and to share with them and give them some tools to do a little bit better for people, for their kids, and to maybe put the legal system on its head a little bit.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Tami, what does passion from pain mean to you?
Oh my gosh. Passion from pain for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd almost have to reverse it in my situation, right? Pain to passion. I don't know. I think mine flip-flopped from yours, which is funny when I think about what you said, because when you started out, you had a wall. When I started out, I thought I could trust everybody. So we're kind of coming from something. It makes sense that your passion from pain is my pain to passion.
There we go. There we go. I like it. It works. It works.
It works.
And is there anything that you'd like to leave with the listeners today? How can they connect with you and start their own journey with you, Tami?
Certainly email me. Email's at the bottom there, tamiforster@yahoo.com. I do have the free gift that you can go to. It's at free gifts from the legal system warrior.com. You can go there and get your checklist. You can also find me on Facebook.
Beautiful. And all of Tami's links are going to be in the description of the video and of the podcast episode. So you can just click on those and find Tami and get her free resource. And I definitely reach out to her, especially if you're going through a legal battle and you're in the middle of family court debacle. She's going to help get you through it. She went through it, and she knows the system better than anybody, and that's why she's doing this. And Tami, thank you so much for being on. It just you don't just preach resilience, you live it, and that's why I really wanted to have you on this show. Tami proves that you can lose it all, face impossible odds, and still come back stronger. Not because life got easier, but because she got unshakable. She reminded us today that peace isn't found when the storm stops. It's found when you stop letting the storm decide who you are. And maybe that's what we all need to hear.
Dance in the rain, Amy. Dance in the rain.
Yeah, and maybe that's what we all need to hear, right? Absolutely. That you can't always change the system, but you can outgrow what it means, what was meant to destroy you. You can outgrow what was meant to destroy you.
100%. And thank you, Amy.
Your journey is a blueprint, not just for survival, but for strategy. And if Tami's story hit you today the way it hit me, go connect with her at freegiftsfromthelegalsystemwarrior.com to grab her Legal System Warrior checklist, because sometimes peace starts with being prepared. And if you're ready to transform your pain into purpose and struggle into strength, book a free 30-minute session with her at candidly.com/Tami Forster 87, and that'll be linked as well. Because here's the truth, your life doesn't end where it broke. That's just where the rebuilding begins. I'm your host, Amy Pease, and this has been Passion from Pain, where we don't run from our battles, we rise from them. And until next time, protect your peace, guard your power, and never forget, the comeback is always stronger than the collapse. I love you guys. I will see you all in the next episode.